Hello crafty friends, Amanda here with Crafting with Amanda, and welcome to July edition of Makers with Heart, and we are featuring thin cuts this month. I am coming here on Saturday. Normally Sunday is my day, but Kim is still unable to do videos due to family issues. If you're a praying person, send good prayers her way. So because we're working with thin cuts, I went through my thin cut folders. I have two of these Picture My Life albums that I have used page protectors from Amazon and the page protectors from Close to My Heart. I will tell you the Close to My Heart ones are wider and work better with the thin cuts. They're also a thicker, actually millimeter thicker plastic, so they hold up better. And I was thinking that I was going to use one of the card front thin cuts for the matting on my photos, and then I realized that with the layout that I have in mind, I found a layout on Pinterest, and I will show you that here in a moment. I need my photos not to have big mattings. They need to be small, and there's no point of cutting out a floral matting if you're not going to see it. So then I did realize that I was going to do thin cuts for my lettering, and I have both the serif and the thin lettering. I thought, oh, the doily might be good. Again, kind of trying to work in some matting. I also thought I might use the simple leaves on this layout, but I'm kind of just gathering stuff at this point. This is my inspiration piece. It's Spiegel Mom Scraps, and I found it on Pinterest, but there's not a link that I can share. It's just here's the image, so I will try to put that out for you. And if you haven't noticed, because I've been absent for so long, we too, kind of like Kim, have had some family issues to deal with, still dealing with some of them, unfortunately. But that's all a part of our life, right? So I have all these photos from my grand niece, and there's just so many cute smiles. I thought, all right, I'm going to do a double spread just about smiles. So I went and using the layout kind of as an inspiration, she had the title around the outside edge. I found this saying that a smile happens, let me get the right quote. Here it is. A smile happens in a flash, but its memory can last a lifetime. And I thought that I would do that kind of in an ombre effect with Bluebird and the backside of Bluebird, Lagoon with the backside of Lagoon, and Glacier with the backside of Glacier, kind of emulating the colors that are here in this Cape Cod paper pack. And I'm cutting just over 2-inch stripes. What I'm trying to do is to make them all the same, that they have a little bit of the white on the side of the dark blue stripe, and then it goes down into that toffee color stripe. So again, using my inspiration piece as a guide, she had the photos in the middle and then kind of just embellished with her rainbow colors off to the side. I'm going to put photos in the center and also at the outside rays of the sun, just again, kind of how all of these photos, even though they're not the same day, kind of tying that all together. And then here with my doily thin cut, which they are still available, and it comes in two pieces. There's this big outside piece and there's a smaller inside piece. I end up using both of them here. So I cut that out of toffee paper, and I'm kind of just dry fitting. I'm using these strings so that I know how long the title is, because I don't want to move all the letters. I don't even want to tape them together. I'm just using this string kind of to give me an idea of how this title may go on. At this point, I'm feeling pretty good about the direction I'm going in, but I need to fill in the background more. I'm using wisteria as my base, and so to kind of give it some interest, I thought I would use stencils, and I'm going to use the White Daisy pigment ink. If you're unfamiliar with our White Daisy pigment ink in general will stay on top of cardstock, so you can use white on darker cardstock and it stays on top so you can still see it. Dye inks, which is most of what Close to My Heart sells, soak into the paper, so you have to use a darker shade than the paper you're putting it on. But here with the White Daisy pigment, it is going to go through the stencils just beautifully. It's a little hard to see on the video here, but in real life they pop out, and it's just what I needed, just something more to kind of fill in that space around the rays of my center circle. I used some painter's tape, that's what the purple tape is, to just mask off one section of the stencil because I didn't want to end up dragging it through itself or being in the way. So I just worked my way around each little ray and am putting the stenciling in between the rays. And then I'll put the photos back on and take a look at it again and realize that I want a little bit more. I need some more interest in it. And I thought about using some stamps, and I thought about, what else am I going to do on the feature or inspiration layout, I'll call it. She had distressed all the edges. She actually folded them in half and stitched down the middle of all of them. I wasn't going to do that. It was too much, and with things going on right now, I'm just happy to be in my studio working. I also knew on this layout I wanted to add flip flaps because I gave my grandniece a few of the pages that I had finished in an album, and she loved the ones that had flip flaps or interactive elements to it, and so I wanted to make sure to incorporate that. So here you can see I decided to use the Periwinkle Shimmer brush with the Periwinkle cardstock base, and maybe I said wisteria, but it's periwinkle. I apologize for that. And just to give it a little more interest. On this side, I didn't give it as much as I needed, so I do go back later and add some of that off camera. But here I'm showing you how you can customize your flip flaps to whatever size you need. These photos, they're not quite 4x3. They're a little bit bigger, so I'm putting it in here and then I cut it off, leaving over 1/4 inch, and then I have this 1/8 inch red line tape that I put on the inside of the flip flap that I cut off, so it's going to seal the one edge for me. And then you can still use the adhesive that would attach the flip flap just like normal, but because I'm folding it down a little bit more, I also added another piece of red line tape right at that folded edge. So if your photo doesn't fill the whole space, go ahead and just add another line of tape. It doesn't have to be the red line, but that one really does hold up well. And then here I can add my photo and that little small doily again in the bottom corner. I ended up adhering it so that the flip flap wouldn't close. I pushed it up too high, and so I will take that back off. But when I try to do these things, I actually try to fold them and work with it in place so that I can avoid doing that. But thankfully it didn't pull up the cardstock underneath or reveal any white that was going to be showing. So I was able to move that and have a cute little flip flap underneath there. And then where I did the underside of the flip flap, I will add some journaling lines for our niece to go ahead and fill in later. And with the title, what I did is I went ahead and just laid out the letters kind of to get them spaced. And once I had them all where they were, one by one, I just picked them up and glued them down. This is from the old card making workshop from Sawyer, and it had this beautiful little leaf in it that was just the right size for this. It would also be really cute on a card. So I used the layered flowers leaf, which if you've watched my channel at all, you know I love the layered flowers, and the leaf is awesome. I chose to use white just because there's a white background in our stripe paper, and I didn't want to overwhelm the photos with more colors. I also didn't want to, even with the glacier, take away from the title. I thought that if I had too much green in the center, the photos have different colors, the title is kind of doing that ombre. I wanted more interest with the leaves, but not a distraction. So that's exactly what I did, is just cut everything out in white daisy, and then I crimp my leaves around my fingers to give them some dimension. When you do put them in your albums, they'll flatten a little bit, but our cardstock is a nice thick cardstock, so it has a memory once you bend it or fold it. And for easy attaching for me, I just make a pool of glue on one of my old multi-purpose mats because it won't stick to that. And as you can see, I just dip the end in and attach that to the layout. So I end up doing this for the left side page as well. I don't show you all that on camera just because it's the same process, just with the left page instead of the right. So now I have my title going around. I actually kind of like how it horseshoed with the journaling being up there under that flip flap. The only thing left to do is to do some embellishments with our gems, and I have the regular size and the bitty gems, and again I'm just kind of sprinkling them around in those spaces and on the rays from my feature paper here. So I hope that you have enjoyed the Makers with Heart week of showcasing our thin cuts. They are so versatile, and I encourage you to go back into your stash and see what hidden gems you might have there, like I found with that small mini leaf from the Sawyer set. If you don't have the doily, I would go and get it. I absolutely love it. It is so versatile. It can be used for baby, it can be used for heritage. It can be used on card fronts for sympathy, wedding. You can fold it and make a dress out of it. It just so many uses. And again, take time to look at what you have in your supplies and what other thin cuts may work with them and help them shine a little bit more. So I'm just going to finish up putting these last little bitty gems on here. I don't know if you can tell, but I did go back and add more of that periwinkle shimmer brush on that left page or right page. Here's a close-up of the layout, and my cute little grandniece can't help but smile when you see a baby smile, in my opinion. So here we go. I love the title around the outside. I did do that with one sheet of white and then one sheet of color on top of it, so that I could have it have a little more emphasis on the page. There will be a playlist. I'm the last one for this month, but we will catch you back on the 25th for our mystery envelope. Take care. Blessings.